Hello and welcome to MXC's Tutorials. I'm here to show you about my new secret triggering mechanism that is unlike any other triggering mechanisms. In the past, I'm sure you've noticed that if you try to hide like a button, you still have that kind of a give where they go, oh, well, you need this to make it work. Or you could have something like a dirt block and you have to tell it and it's triggered by an observer. These are inconvenient. This is a really good triggering mechanism because you have one action that you can choose out of a whole list, and you can pick a specific block. You perform that action on that block, and it works very consistently. Um, and even if I had selected any of these other blocks, you wouldn't be able. This wouldn't work. So if I try to do this, it wouldn't trigger it. Another upside of this is that, the only downside of that is you can see occasionally a blue flicker, which is the particle for the Sculk sensor. As I said earlier, this is for triggers, so while I've used this for like a secret entrance, you don't need to use it for a secret entrance. It could be for a fireworks show or underground base or a trap or something along those lines. Anyways, before I get carried away, go ahead and start the tutorial. There are three major designs that I have working. This one right here, which is designed for simplicity, but is easily the most consistent version. You can hide it, no noise. Setup is super simple, and you won't be able to see the particles unless you are directly above it. And by that point, you might as well just trigger it. The second one is a little bit more flexible in that it doesn't have to be directly below it, but has the downside of being you can see the particles anywhere along this way. It will still only work if you're directly above it, but I'm just giving you options here. And the final one is the most compact, with the downside of you are able to see the particles pretty much wherever you are. But that's about it. The water is a little, you can hear the running water, but outside of that, it's pretty good. This is my favorite design by far. Alright, now that you're ready to begin, I have two things I need you to do before we continue. I need you to select the specific block that you want to trigger this on. I've gone ahead and selected the grass block right here. That is going to be my trigger event, but the place I want to have it trigger. The second thing I need you to do is to look at this list. I'm going to have it on screen right now. And I need you to select one of these signals. It doesn't matter which one. I'd recommend something convenient and that doesn't have a lot of triggers. Because unfortunately, anything that's in the same row can also cause this event to happen if it is to happen on this block right here. But I will also provide this Wikipedia list in the description down below if you need it. After you have your location selected right here, and after I'm going to use a water bottle or any kind of potion, and you have it selected, the next thing to do is to realize what your event is, because you're going to lead into this event. I've chosen this torch. My objective is to turn off this torch. This doesn't have to be a torch. It could be fireworks. It could be whatever, as I said earlier. Now that you have that, I have simple designs depending on what you need. My least favorite, but at the same time the best design for this kind of thing, is just something like this. A Sculk sensor surrounded by wool blocks that lead into the location where you want it to trigger, and you're pretty much done. So as you can tell, whenever I'm right here, I can trigger the Sculk sensor, but I can't trigger on any of these other blocks. Super easy. Almost you're halfway through this first problem. You're going to want to lead this into a comparator. It doesn't matter if it's right here, and you're going to want to add some redstone dust. Now, for simplicity's sake, I will show you what it looks like to use a water bottle. up right above the Sculk sensor. So if I use Sculk right here, it should give me a signal of 7. So all the way up to right here. We don't need all of this. We only need 2 pieces of redstone right after the comparator. After you have the comparator, I need you to go ahead and pull out the block 2 this way, to the side of the comparator. Go ahead and put a comparator right here leading into the first comparator that you put down, and turn the first comparator into subtract mode. I've used a lectern here, but it just needs to be something that gives a signal that is 1 less than the redstone signal that you need. So in my situation with the water bottle, I need to select 6 because it is 1 less than 7, obviously. And 7 is the redstone signal that the Sculk sensor will give through the comparator when I drink a water bottle and it detects it, if that makes any sense. But this is just really convenient with these because you can select anything between 1 and 15, and if you're going to be placing around a whole lot of these in the world, this is the simplest method in my opinion. So create a book with 15 pages, select the number that you need, in my case it's 6, have it leading into this one, and you are almost there. Now you will want to put, and again, I'm going to try to trigger this redstone piece, this redstone thing, so I'm going to go ahead and lead up to it. See, it's right here. That's my objective, is to turn this off whenever I drink a water bottle. So, I'm going to go ahead and take repeaters, have it go 1, 2, 3, and then have this go out to this way. Repeater here. These are all 1 tick, by the way. You do not want to have anything beyond 1 tick in this mechanism. And if you do need to have it slightly delayed, I believe you need to have the second pulse right here, or the second line of redstone, needs to be 1 less than this line of redstone, if that makes any sense to you. And once you have that done, all you need to do is bring it over here to a block, and then put a redstone right here. Actually, I've already turned it off, so I'm going to fix this real quick. Okay, I've reconfigured this just so that it's a little more, so that it turns us off after it triggers. So all I have to do is just replace some of the floor, just to give you the idea that I'm not cheating. And go right over here, stand in this block right here, and drink some water. After a moment, it turns off. Again, replace this with whatever you want it to be. So it is a pulse, unfortunately. It is not like a lever, but yes. Anyways, moving on to the second design. Alright, this next design is for people who cannot have the Sculk sensor directly below their target destination. So I've gone ahead and I've removed it from this position and I've put it over here to simulate that maybe there's wiring underneath, or perhaps you want to pull, as soon as they make the sound, a piston will come down, pull the block underneath them and they drop down, something along those lines. That's what I'm going to try to simulate in this situation. So the first thing we want to do is to test the distance you are away from your Sculk sensor. If I put a block right here, it gives a pretty strong signal, but if it's down over here, it's pretty weak. And this is the kind of concept it works on. The Sculk sensor detects in a spherical area. So the closer or the more hole that you can get your Sculk sensor to, the better. So for example, it is better for your Sculk sensor to be along 1 axis than for it to be 2 axis, which would be traveling this way and then also this way. So this way, this way. That's how, basic math is. And then obviously the worst case scenario would be if it would be landing up here, which it's still detecting, but again, it's not detecting easily. If you didn't understand any of that, that's okay. What we need to focus on right now is getting the signal strength of here to here. This is accomplished through just a whole bunch of trial and error because, unless you have a formula, this is not going to be straightforward. You just have to try over and over again until you succeed. My favorite way of doing it is just by getting a whole bunch of redstone lamps, going onto my block, and making just a little bit of noise on top of it. So in this situation, oh, it looks like it's 5. Maybe it's 6, so I have to extend it just a little bit more. Go right here. Okay, so it looks like it's making 5. Oh, it looks like it's making 6. This is unfortunately a downside to the system, is sometimes depending on where you are in the block, it can create a different strength. You'll kind of get more used to this the more you use your system, but this is the whole spherical issue. So this half of the block is a signal of 6, but this half of the block is signal 5. So if you go here, oh, it's signal of 6. If I go over here, it's a signal of 5. Again, this is one of the reasons why I don't recommend this system, because it's not as simple, but I'm just giving you as many tools as you can to work with when you're prepared to make your whatever you're making. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've made our system. Another ugly reality about this is about using the system is the fact that you need to have redstone wire right next to it, which means if you want to have it silenced, you're going to have to put a water bucket and then a hole 1 block away from it. Now I'm going to use the example of if you need to have something directly underneath this. So I'm going to focus on having the redstone go this way and loop back around. So we're going to have the redstone run this way, have a comparator right next to it. This allows to detect whatever signal strength this is. We determined that it's either 5 or 6. I'm gonna guess we're going to use 6 more, because if we're going to be closer to the Sculk sensor, it's going to be a little easier. So we're going to use 6, which means that the number we need for the sensor here would be 7. So go ahead and put that into subtract mode. Let's get the wool blocks out. Comparator, lectern, put it to 5, because remember, if the signal is 6, then we need to do 1 less than that, which is 5. Bring it out 2, 1, 2, redstone, redstone, and this is all the same as this. It's just formatted a little differently. Once you start building these a lot, you just kind of work them into how quickly you can do it, and it's, you know, not terribly difficult. So, and I'm going to wrap this back around. We'll deal with this later, but first I want to block off as much sound as I can. Sound contamination is probably not that big of an issue for this kind of thing, but it's still possible, so I'd recommend trying to make this as narrow as you can. So I don't want to really intrude that close to the wire, quote-unquote wiring or drop down, so this should be fine right here. Yeah, you can still see this, the block along any of these, but hopefully it would only trigger on this side of the block, because again, it's a circle, so it's 6 for this half, but 5 for this half of the block. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and set up the wiring real quick so that this works together, and I'll cut right to that. Okay, I'm going to lead you into my process here. This all is like normal, like over here, but I've made one change. This tick increase right here is to make sure that the redstone signal is long enough. I'm sure I could have pulled other shenanigans, but I wanted to give you an idea of what I need to do if I need to use a repeater. If I increase this by 1 tick, they will happen at the same time. And this is important. You need to make sure that in an AND gate that they can both arrive at the same time. Since the Sculk sensor is sensing both of these things at once, that will be consistent no matter how you try to change it, but these in an AND gate, they need to happen at the same time. So we're looking at an AND gate. An AND gate is looking to see if the event, if they drank a water bottle, if that's true, and if it's also 6 blocks away, yeah, 6 blocks away, or 6 redstone signals away, and that is also true. If this is true and this is true, then this will turn off, and this will, actually I need to turn this into a target block, so it leads into it. But if this is true and this is true, then they'll turn this block off, which will turn this turn this block on, turn this block off, and then this one back on. So with any luck, I will go ahead and demonstrate what this looks like. I'm going to stand on this side of the blocks, because remember, this side is 5, this side is 6. So this should turn on. And there we go. Alrighty, this is the last and final design, which is my favorite. I think this one has the most potential for traps, because by the time you notice it, you could already be dead. The downside of this version is that you should be able to notice the blue particles of the sensor noticing you anywhere. And it can also trigger early. So if I made a noise right here, and then I walked or did something right here, it might mute it. So even though it's great for traps, that's also a downside. That's just something you have to consider for every one of these designs. There's any kind of possible side to it. So first I want to create the water pocket. This is just something I think you should start with. So do this, place the water. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the location first. So put this over here. It's a little snuggly here, but it's okay. Bring it to, turn this to subtract mode, because remember that's how it works. I know because I've done this several times before. You want to put this onto 12. This is because the signal that you make while you're standing right above this block is 13. So 13 minus 1 is 12. Would you believe it? Go out to 2, 1, 2. Bring it over here. We're going to, again, this is something it is super straightforward. So 2, 3, 1, 2. It's, would you believe it? It's the exact same. You will be very tired of this by the time I'm done, but we're almost there. So the second one is right here. You can technically abbreviate this a little bit by putting the comparator right here instead. Putting the comparator here, putting the thing here. It's still going to be a water bottle, so this is 6 instead of 7. Pulling this out, put this in subtract mode, bring this into 1, 2, 1, 2, oh, whoops, that's not right. This is, I mean, if you believe me that I've done this a couple of times, if you don't believe it that I've done this a couple of times, it's kind of obvious to me. But here we go. Turn this. This is just an alternate form of an AND gate. AND gates are just basically 2 torches that are leading into each other. So this is the objective. So we're gonna want to go one under. Put a torch here and wire. Oh, we're actually going to want to switch this out with target block, because target blocks are amazing. Put that off. And all of a sudden, if I drink a water bottle right here, you know why I like this? Because it's just so simple. The amount of blocks you have to turn on is, like the blocks you have to place, is just so much smaller. And then any final touches you might want to make is just to add extra wool if you don't want to have it included. Actually, if you're okay with going a little further out, like if you don't mind going an extra block out, you can switch out, I'm actually gonna go above. You can switch out the comparator here with an add wool block, and that'll block, I think, this block right here. No, it doesn't. It blocks this one. So just something to keep in mind. If you're looking to be, if you want to be more secretive but less compact. Other than that, yes, fill up with blocks or however many you want to fill it up with. That's pretty much it. So it's a really small design. It's less than 7 blocks. Like it's a 7 by 9, I believe. It's 3 blocks deep, or 3 blocks deeper than the surface layer. If you've enjoyed the video, thank you very much. I don't really care about subscribers, so just, yeah, thank you.